I'm glad to meet you.
I'm glad to meet you too.
Amy Harmon has interviewed a robot for the New York Times.
I'm introducing myself. I'm Amy. I'm a reporter.
Her work for the paper regularly spans the health and technology spectrum. She's written on everything from revolutionary new drugs to embryonic screenings. But this past week, the 42-year-old Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist came to Berkeley to talk about her article series on genetic testing.
I had written about several individuals whose lives were kind of radically changed by the genetic information that they learned about themselves.
It's an issue that the Berkeley community attempted to tackle with their On the Same Page, Bring Your Genes to Cal program.
I was reading about On the Same Page program and about some of the controversy surrounding it. And as I was reading more and more of the criticism, I was following it, although I wasn't really writing about DNA so much anymore. Obviously I maintained an interest in it, and it struck me that I thought that the controversy sort of missed the point.
The Bring Your Genes to Cal program has raised controversial eyebrows across the nation, but to Amy, it also hit very close to home.
I was pregnant with my daughter. I was offered genetic testing, and that was sort of my first exposure to genetic testing, the availability of genetic testing. I'm of Ashkenazi Jewish descent, and there are, I think it's now 11 genetic diseases that are associated with people of my background, and so it's almost a sort of standard thing to go and get just a simple blood test and see if you're a carrier for any of these diseases. If you're the first sort of wave of consumer tests, consumer genetic tests, were becoming available. This used to be something that you would do through your doctor. Exclusively, and it still largely is, but doctors are also becoming more aware, and just testing in general is becoming more prevalent. And so it struck me that there was something to write about sort of what do we do with this kind of information once we get it? Do we want this information? What if we can't do anything about the knowledge that we gain from learning about a disease that we might get? Do we even want to get it? Do we get the test? Do we, once we do get the test, then what are the choices that are available to us?
Amy found that it was a tricky subject, not only to experience, but to write about. When one of her interviewees, a young woman named Katie Moser, publicly disclosed her story of a genetic disposition to the rare neurodegenerative disorder Huntington's disease, Harmon was forced to deal with Katie's angry family members.
Mother, who had never been tested herself, was mentioned in the story. Her name was mentioned. And she's sort of a central character. I mean, she's a central character in her daughter's life, as many mothers are. Katie and her mother happened to be estranged. But her mother was worried that, that by implying that she had Huntington's disease, or at least the gene for Huntington's disease, that she would be discriminated against at work. She worked. That people, she didn't want her neighbors to know. Very legitimate privacy concerns.
But despite these concerns, it's the need to tell these compelling stories to the public that motivates Amy most.
I mean, the way I try to write about science is through people, because I think that is how it can best be understood, is through the impact that it has on people. And so I try to sort of weave in the science with the human story.